Hi everyone, I'm Jeffrey Cinco Belutindas. You can call me Jeff. I am in my mid-50s. I live in Manila, Cebu City, here in the Philippines. And I am Risk Management, Risk and Organizational Performance Management Manager. Currently, because I've been serving for 30 years in the company. It's a electric distribution utility here in Cebu. And I'm retired now, but not tired. I am helping now our family business. We have an upcoming project. So I keep myself busy on that upcoming project. And of course, I have more time with my family now because we have a 9-year-old daughter and my wife is also busy with her job. When our company decided to create, I was fortunate to be part of that new department. So we started with 2 personnel. So I am a risk specialist that time, and because of my experience in the organization, so I've been to a different department. So I know a little bit of the operation or the process of each department. So the most important if you are handling risk management is that you know business acumen. For the past 10 years, I've been a risk management practitioner. So I'll do risk assessment, risk identifications, and planning what to do with the identified risk. Now, if there's something happen, you need to also implement what you call a business continuity management. Wherein, if that risk will happen, you need to know what will you do to continue your business. And that business continuity plan will kick in. So when you talk about business continuity management, those are processes that we need to know what are the things that we will prepare in case of a certain scenario or a certain event. For example, natural disaster. The organization should know what will be their business continuity plan because there are things that you need to prepare and things that you need to implement when that thing or that event will happen. You need to know what are your business continuity plan so that the company or the organization will continue operating and maybe not in full capacity. They can continue their operation in a skeletal force or in a minimum level of operations. So we have different level of risk in our organization. So we have what we call strategic risk, operational risk, and project risk. What are those? So when you talk about strategic risk, those are risks that will affect the entire organization. And the top management, they are the one who will take action for that. It will involve a big amount or financial, because strategic risk will involve big budget. When you talk about operational risk, those risks that involves the day-to-day operations of the department. And project risk are those risks that will involve in having a project. So for example, in our organization, we plan to have a big building. So we have to prepare for that. No? So for example, we will construct a big building. So they need to involve the risk management team so that they will be the one to identify what are the risks in order for them to know if they have to pursue or they have to avoid that building or that project. We have to know what are the different action plans for that different kinds of risk. When we started risk management in organizations, believe me, the challenges that we really face is the acceptance of the other units they don't believe on risk management. So that's why we need to prepare our plans on how to address and how to make it more interesting to them, and to prepare a campaign plan so that they will appreciate the importance of risk management in their day-to-day operations. My boss once said that to make risk management effective in our organization is to make it interesting. So we have to plan out, we have to prepare our action plan, our campaign plan, so that the different leaders will accept or adopt and embrace risk management in their operations. In our organization, actually in any organizations, there are different risk strategies. So in our organization, we implemented 4 strategies. We have risk transfer, risk avoidance, risk acceptance, and risk reductions. So let's say, for example, risk transfer. When you talk about risk transfer, we usually do insurance. So meaning you have to transfer the risk from one entity to another entity, or one institutions to another institutions. An example of risk transfer is a warranty. No? So when you buy something, you buy a car, there's a warranty, there's an insurance. So those are a sample of risk transfer. You transfer the risk to another form of another process. So when you talk about risk acceptance, that you already assess the risk, you identify that one, you know that the impact of that risk, but you cannot do anything about it because that's part of your process, that's part of your performance. So you have to accept it, but you have to know how to manage it, learn how to manage it. When you talk about risk avoidance, say for example, you have a big project, and when you assess the risk, you assess the situation, it's too risky, and the organization or the company cannot handle it. Maybe it will impact on the financial side. So you have to avoid that project, you have to avoid that risk. You will not pursue that one, or maybe you look for another location, look for another way, and look for another methods. So that's the risk avoidance. When you talk about risk reduction, like you are implementing the different action plans. Usually we have what we call the basic risk treatment plan that we have. We have a preventive action, we have a corrective action. Sometimes we do correction also. So what do you mean by that? When you say preventive action are those actions that you prepare in order for that risk not to happen. So you have those processes. Let's say, for example, you have those processes in place so that the thing will not happen. You have many action plans, prepared action plans, so that that event will not happen. Now, if, for example, you have all those preventive action, but that event still happens, the first aid, you have the correction plan. And when you talk about preventive actions, those are actions that you need to prepare in order for that risk not to happen. And correction, when it really happens, you need to have a band-aid. So temporary band-aid, so that you can still continue your operations. But in the corrective action is really a plan so that that risk, if it happens, it will not happen again. So you have that corrective in place so that you will not experience the same scenario, the same event in the near future. Risk management is important to any kind of business. Financial institutions has the best risk. They really need good risk management in their organization because it involves money. In our organization, we usually focus more on strategic and operational risk because we are a distribution utility, an electric distribution utility. We need to know what are those risks that will affect our day-to-day operations. When you talk about strategic risks, those are risks, let's say for example, reputation, especially nowadays that social media is really present. We need to protect the company. So we need to know what are the different reputational risks. In our case, we look at negative media publicity. We part that as our strategic risk because reputation is very important in any organizations. When we talk about operational risks, those are risks that involve the day-to-day operation of a certain department or a certain unit. Let's say, for example, you don't have personnel, no, key personnel. So we can identify an operational risk like unavailability of key personnel. In operational risk, we can refer to the 5 M's. We have the method, the money, the manpower, you have Mother Nature, and you have machine. So in that 5 categories, you can now identify the different operational risk. So for example, on manpower, unavailability of key personnel. So meaning you have to really put identifier, the key personnel, not only personnel, because key personnel are those people that has a vital role in their operations. Like those people that are well trained, they have more knowledge about the processes in their unit. So need to know what are those. You need to have a plan in order for you to continue your operation, even if those people are not there anymore in their unit. So one of the operational risks when you talk about manpower is unavailability of key personnel. When you assess operational risk, the most common that I know, the most common risk for operation that affects the operations really is manpower, and that is unavailability of key personnel. I can also say that the most common risk when we talk about machine are unavailability of materials and natural disaster, especially here in Cebu or Philippines as a whole, that we have like 20 typhoons every year, 20 or more typhoons every year. Natural disaster is really a risk that will affect the operations of our organization. When you talk about risk, there are risks, what we call known risk, and there are also what we call unknown risks. So what are those unknown risks? In our case, for example, what we consider as unknown risks are those new policies of the government, because if there's a new regulators, members of the regulating committee, they will introduce a new policy, so it will affect the entire organization. Maybe not only one department, but the entire organization will be affected with that new policy. So we can consider that as unknown risk. We cannot anticipate right away. If you are a certified risk manager, the company will really compensate you well. In our case, in my case, when I started, when I practiced risk management in our organization, I received about 5-digit salary. But when I become a manager, our company give me good compensation, and it's now at 6-digit compensation as a salary. Most of the risk managers in other companies, other organizations, other institutions, they also receiving, especially if they are certified risk managers, they are also receiving more than that, more than 6-digit figure salary. What I love about being a risk manager is that risk management, you can apply this not only at work, but you can also apply this on your personal life. A very simple plan, let's say for example, you go abroad, risk management is very important. what are the things that you need to prepare. For example, is your passport not still valid? You have a budget. What if something happens when you go there already? So risk management is very important. What I love about risk management is that you can learn, you can analyze things, you can prepare things that are not yet to happen in order for you to achieve whatever your objectives in life, whatever objectives in your maybe operational objectives, business objectives, or personal objectives. You can apply risk management to it. That's one thing I love about risk management. When our company decided to create risk management department, I was fortunate to be part of that new department. We started with 2 personnel, so I am a risk specialist that time. Maybe because of my experience in the organization, I've been to a different department, so I know a little bit of the operation or the process of each department. So the most important if you are handling risk management is that you know business acumen. So you know not maybe the entire or the exact processes of a certain unit, but at least you have an idea so that you will know what are their risks, what are the different challenges in their operation. The good thing about having good risk management is that you are confident that the company is well protected in terms of reputational risk, well protected in their financial loss, well protected in their day-to-day operations, and at the end of the day, all the departments, all the units, and the organization achieve their strategic objectives, achieve their operational objectives, and achieve their business objectives. When we started risk management in our organization, it's really a challenge to us because most of the leaders don't believe on risk management. So the buy-in, we really need to prepare some activities and an action plan in order for them to adopt risk management. My boss told me once that to make risk management exciting in our organization, for us to prepare some campaign plans so that the different leaders accept or adopt and embrace a risk management in their operation. So if you want to be a risk practitioner, one thing that you need to know is you should explore the different units, you should explore the different processes. You need to know what are the different, the basic methods, the basic things that an organization or a unit are doing. Because in that way, you will become an effective risk management practitioner if you know all those basic things in your organization. And even in your personal life, you should know what are the things that will happen and it will not happen. And also in your personal life, you can be also a good risk management practitioner because in that way, you know what are your plans. You will achieve what are your plans. You will achieve what are your goals. Maybe in your personal goal or you have your own family goals. My passion in life is really in sports. When I was a child, I really loved basketball, I really loved football, and I'll usually play under the heat of the sun during lunchtime. My mom was a coach in softball in her early years in their school. Unfortunately, I met an accident, so I cannot play basketball anymore. I cannot play ball games anymore, so I broke my Achilles. I have a titanium on my right foot, so I cannot play basketball anymore. Now I love to travel with my family. I make sure that every year we will travel domestic or international as long as we can travel together and explore the different culture in other countries or in other provinces, and that's what the things that I love in this time. My experiences in life taught me on how to become an effective risk management, because I have so many bad experience, I have good experience, but at the end of the day, how you manage it is very important. You know how to plan, you know how to, if something went wrong, you know how to stand up and continue your journey, because in life, there are so many obstacles, there are so many disruptions. Having that risk management experience made me a strong person, and I can continue my journey even if there are so many challenges in life because of my experience. One thing that I can say is that if you're declining an opportunity, you're also delaying your success.
If you find this video helpful and interesting, consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching.